Hi, I'm Eleanor, and welcome to this week's episode of the Intuition Lab. This first week of what will be a 6 week, I guess, mini masterclass on how to intuitively survive the holidays is all about assessing whether or not you actually need to show up there. So, for many of us, the holiday season that's supposed to be a time of joy and happiness and togetherness is anything but. It's often chaos and conflict and overwhelm. And after years of having roller coaster Novembers and Decembers, I decided to come up with a framework that helps us to tap into our intuition and anticipate the pitfalls associated with gatherings of all types and your own strong emotions and memories, helping you create space so you can respond rather than react, and helping you to honor the traditions you care about while maintaining your sanity and integrity. So I hope you will come along for the next 6 weeks. So, part one is called Do You Have to Be There? Honestly, do you have to show up? I think one of the best applications of intuition is to just avoid difficult circumstances because then you have to worry less about how you would react. It's not avoiding every difficult thing in life, but it's knowing that some battles are just not worth showing up to. So, this first week of intuitively surviving the holidays, I encourage you to decide whether or not you want to be in the room. Sometimes we look forward to something, and sometimes we just feel a sense of dread, and we just know as soon as we get an invitation, or we know as soon as a certain date rolls around, that there is something that we may be expected to attend that probably isn't in your best interest. So you need to ask yourself, is your presence really in your best interest? What will it cost you to go somewhere for the holidays that you dread? I mean, there's a cost associated with travel. You might have, to put up at a hotel, but what is the cost to you? That's something to tune in intuitively and take a look at. If you know that you will be knocked off your axis, let's say you're in the US and like me, Thanksgiving is coming up as of this recording next Thursday, so 8 days away. Will it just knock you off course? Will it make you very upset? Will it trigger you so deeply that you're basically in a spiral, in a negative spiral for the next 3 or 4 weeks? You know, in this time, I think I might be a little hypocritical telling you to, cancel your plane ticket if you've saved up for it. But if the cost to your health and your even spiritual wellness is too great, then I encourage you to look into how to cancel, get as much of your money back as you can. And instead, just realize that this is the cost of investing in your health and well being. Also, if you do go somewhere, what activities do you actually have to participate in? If you are expected to go to this relative's house and this friend's party, it might be worth your while to, as an exercise, write out or speak out anything in a list, right? Anything that would constitute a list for you. Some people actually do audio lists, which I find fascinating. And then renew each option, asking yourself to tune in and just what is your feeling around this? Do you want to participate in this? And if you do want to be there, how can you protect yourself? Can you make sure that you are as close to an energetic five state as possible before you attend? Can you ground and shield yourself before going and come up with ways to shed any negativity or other strong unwanted emotion you experience while you're there? I would recommend that if you want to go to an event or see someone who is best managed in small doses, to limit your exposure, have an entrance and an exit plan. What time will you show up? When will you leave? What will you do while you're there? I mean, if your coping strategy, like mine was for many years, is just park yourself near the food and eat. Is that serving you? Do you really love the food, or are you just stuffing down your pain, anger, maybe humiliation you feel at being in certain people's presence? Have a plan. Know that, okay, while I'm there, I'm going to stay half an hour. I'm going to see these four or five people if they're there, and then I'm going to make my excuses, get my coat, and I need a coat where I live, maybe you don't, and just leave. I think in all of this, I encourage you to hold a vision of the joy filled seasonal celebration you want. If you even want to attend, maybe you just want to make your excuses, stay home, and do things that are more in alignment with who you are now. And that's fine, but it's important to know that up front and know, okay, I'm not doing this. But if you are going to an event, I encourage you to future cast a little and lean into your intuition and ask yourself, what is the most likely chain of events at this gathering? If, like the stereotypical Thanksgiving dinner, you know that these two people are going to argue politics, this person's going to complain about the food, another person's going to act like a put upon martyr because they had to prepare everything. And, even though you offer help, they refuse it and then they complain. If you know these things are likely and you want to show up because maybe you genuinely care about them, even though you disagree about politics, lifestyle, choices you make, right? Go in knowing that. Don't magically think they'll change. I mean, if you use your intuition and think, okay, this person, maybe they've been working on their issues, maybe they're just getting older and their personalities change, which does happen. Um, on occasion. I'm not going to say that happens in many cases, but sometimes people have changes of heart, but you should just go in expecting things to turn out the way you intuitively feel they will do and or based on data you've collected over your years of attendance. And knowing this, what is the most likely outcome of your attending? Do you always show up in a certain way? Do you always react? Can you work on shielding yourself so that you are not as receptive to energies that destabilize you? Come up with a plan for dealing with difficult situations. You can either agree to disagree or just say, I am not discussing this. Let's talk about something else. And then if someone pushes, you get up and walk away. Sometimes it's a case of going to an event where you know you might be sucked into behavior you are trying to change. So, if like me, you are working on your nutrition and your physical fitness, maybe going to like a holiday smorgasbord isn't for you unless you've learned, okay, I can just fill my plate once and be done with it. If you have issues with gambling, maybe you don't want to go to your uncle's post Thanksgiving dinner card game, and so on and so forth. Just don't put yourself in situations if you are not prepared for them. Also, once you're there, read the room. Trust yourself. No one's enough when enough is enough, right? As humans, we can read subtle changes of energy. You can feel when an argument's going to break out in many cases. You can sense the changes in the room. I think if you're listening to this video, you can anyhow, right? But read the room. If things are starting to get a bit heated and difficult and or just uncomfortable, or you can feel that a relative is gearing up to ask you intrusive questions or questions you don't want to answer, you know, it's not that you're running offense, you are scouting ahead a bit, energetically before you even get in the room and while you're in the room. So I think it's important for us to figure out whether or not you actually need to be there. If so, what are your terms, right? What are your terms for being there? How can you protect yourself? What is your entrance plan? What is your exit plan? And I mean, things don't always happen the way we would like them to, but you're going in armed, for lack of better, right? You are armed with spiritual and intuitive tools to stay in your own energy, ground yourself. And I encourage you to watch my podcasts that cover excuse me, ground shielding and shedding, and the energetic five state to help you know what your even keel is. And read the room, trust yourself. You are the perfect barometer of your feelings and your reactions. And if you feel yourself starting to get carried away, it's a good time to create a pattern interrupt, even if it's something like, jamming your thumbnail into your palm to just create a sensation that breaks the chain of events and get yourself out of there. Do not stay longer than your intuition is telling you to. So that's the first episode of Intuitively Surviving the Holidays. Let me know what you think. And if you would like to just learn the whole framework, I'm going to be doing a few Intuitively Surviving the Holidays masterclasses. They'll be between 60 to 75 minutes, and I guarantee it will be worth your while to show up because you will feel prepared and better able to maintain your calm, stay in your energy, and keep your sense of well-being in potentially difficult situations this holiday season. So I'm doing the first one this Saturday at 11 a.m. I think that's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I think the 22nd, November 22nd at 11 a.m. Eastern. And I'll be doing the same thing again on Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern. So sign up below. And I'll be offering this again in December. I'm still working out the dates. But if you know that right away you want support about getting through the holidays, using your intuition, and just keeping yourself sane and happy and as joyous as you can possibly be, join my free community Pathfinders. We'll work through each week's prompt in depth, gather tools to help you cope, and create space for you to manage your emotions and respond rather than react. And doing all of this intuitively. Your intuition is your best guide to navigate through life safely and happily. Also, within Pathfinders, you'll have the opportunity to ask me questions about your particular situation and receive brief guidance from me about how to deal with something like, hey, Eleanor, I'm going to my aunt's house and I know X, Y, and Z usually happens, but I really want to see my cousins. What can I do? And I'm not a psychotherapist, I'm an intuitive medium. But I encourage you to sign up. You'll be in community with other people who are going through the same thing. And I can't wait to see you there. So until next week, where we continue basically gathering tools to help us navigate the holidays using our intuition, I'm sending you so much love and peace and joy. And if you need to ask me a question, you can leave a comment on this video or on this podcast recording and find me through my socials. Links are below. Take good care. Bye.